Hello everyone, my name is AP the Weird One, and we are back with Dr. Ameku, Dr. Detective, Episode 5, The Crimson Curse of the Sorcerer. Part 2 of this miniature arc. There is one more episode to have. And this episode is very interesting. We get to the part of the human combustion, spontaneous human combustion. Events that can actually happen, but no one really knows the reason why. This episode, at the beginning, we get a couple of names. Countess Cornelia Bondi of Italy and Michael Ferdy in Ireland, an event that happened in 2011. Countess happened in 1910, 1912. These two people died of human combustion. They burned alive, but the objects around them didn't get burnt. So it's a bit of a mysterious phenomenon. There's two parts to it. They suddenly burst into flames, and the area around them doesn't get really much damage. There's like soot and everything, but like no fire damage, which is very interesting. Now, a couple things when I was researching these two deaths is that there's a little bit more science to it. There's like a chemical reaction. There's a flame nearby. In both cases, for Bondi, there was Countess Cornelia Bondi. There were a candle nearby, like she was holding a candle. She was also bathed in potentially oil. And then Michael Faraday had candles and other sources of fire near him as well. So you need some kind of ignition to happen. And for all these fiery deaths that pertain to the curse, like Aoi Kuramoto, she was smoking before she burst into flames. And then also later on, Moroto unfortunately also combusts into flames. And kind of interestingly enough, we'll discuss it later, but the reason he kind of burst into flames is potentially because of the oxygen that he was getting received. But yeah, so we're getting to a little bit of a fantasy land, but there is going to be some science behind it. In order for someone to human combust, you potentially need some sort of substance to start that. And in the case of Moroto, he had this rash on his chest when he was being examined. And so potentially he acquired some sort of allergic reaction or some kind of fungus on his skin. And there is another character that has a similar issue. But let's go in the order of events that actually happen, and then we'll discuss at the very end. So at the beginning of the episode, our big main cast who we met from the beginning of the series. We have Dr. Ameku, of course. We have Kotori. We have Detective Kimisa and Ryuga Narsi. They're all discussing the fire potentially, and like cause her death. Where she was working was nearby where Moroto was living. When he sees that she's dead and everything, she decides to give historical documents about the incident of this curse of the Ayesha clan to Ameku to investigate. Then, of course, we have the but right before that happens, Akari passes away. Now, this was a bit interesting. They're kind of connecting the death to the curse in a way, even though we discussed in the last episode that it was potentially because of the fungus that he received. So it seemed kind of weird. That's probably my one complaint, that because he had the fungus, had the meningitis for so long, that's what ultimately caused his demise. And also being old and having immune deficiency, his immune system wasn't working properly because of steroids. It was a bit weird. I don't know. That part I didn't like. But then following that, that's when Moroto gives the documents, and then we get the intro song, and then we cut away to the funeral, and the Kotori is discussing with the other assistant, or I think the kid. Masashi Kaguya. They were kind of discussing matters, the funeral and everything. Then the villain, or the family member of the family of the past, Yuta Aisha, he comes around. He's on his motorcycle. You could tell it's definitely him. He's scratching on his chest. First episode, it's obviously him, but Katori doesn't recognize him. Anyway, they're about to go to the funeral, and he hears a weird noise, and boom, Akari bursts into flames. Bit tragic. The police, this is where this scene takes place. Yeah, they discovered that it was an arson. Someone was trying to do some funny business. And then we get an interesting scene following this. So Mai comes back into play. Kotori and Mai hook up in the elevator. They discuss a little bit of romance. Sounds like Mai's kind of interested in Meko, so maybe she's lesbian. Not for sure. But they're discussing, it's like, you have a Meko, she could be your girlfriend. But, if you don't go out, I'll take her on my ride, because he has a car and she has a car. More like a vehicle. But anyway, they're going down, they go down to the lobby, and Katori gets a note. Now, what's a bit interesting is that the reason that Yuta makes a bit of a mistake is he assumes that Katori's first name is Katori when it isn't. It's Yua Tanakashi. He made mistakes that, and when he goes out to the parking lot, he reads a note, and it's like a threatening letter, the curse and everything. And then his car explodes. I thought he was talking about a Gundam, but it's just, I think the model of this car is just an RX. It's an RX-7. Poor man. And then the motorcycle comes back, which, okay, you're flaunting yourself. But anyway, he figures out, and he decides, I'm going to be smooth, lay a trap. Me and Mai are going to go get him. It actually does work out. He puts Yuta in a trap, and due to Mai actually actually know some Akino, she is able to subdue him, and they turn him into cops. He kind of meant that, you were being a little bit reckless. You should have told us, but he was playing Scooby-Doo. He wanted to be a cool badass man, because he is cool. He knows his martial arts. He wants to show that he's got the scientific knowledge and everything. He was just trying to be cool, and he didn't want to involve Dr. Ameku because he cares about her. He and Mai kind of joke about that. But following that incident, then Maroto is brought to the hospital. He feels very cold, and with the oxygen and everything, and with the examination, he suddenly bursts into flames. And that paves the way to the part 3 of this series, where I'll figure out what's going on. Now, Yuta, of course, is scratching on his chest, so there's going to be some relation because Ameku noticed the weird fungus or fungal infection on Maroto's chest. She's going to recall, oh yeah, Yuta has this scratching thing. I bet Katori is also going to notice the scratching bit as well. That's how they're going to figure out what caused the human combustion. There's going to be a little bit of song and dance before we get to it. But yeah, I do like this episode. The Akari's death, the blame, that was a bit weird, but it was interesting. We're dealing with some fiction. But there are some logical reasons. You don't suddenly human combust. There's got to be a source of ignition. You got to have something on your body. So, cause it. Best way to do, don't bathe in oil and don't have candles nearby. Which, if you're feeling spicy romance, maybe make sure the candles are far away or so. You don't want to end up in a situation like Bill Engvall when he's romancing his wife and candle suddenly comes on his back and your wife says, yes, sir. You don't want to be an embarrassment to your wife. You want to be cool. But yeah, that concludes the episode. I wasn't kind of sure what to talk about everything, but it was, I had a good time. It was a fun episode. I love seeing Mai, she subdues Yuta. Also, her vehicle of choice is a motorcycle, like a very high-end motorcycle. And Katori is scared, which, makes sense here. She's got a really pretty green and white motorcycle. It looked really cool. It was very advanced. Kind of gave off a little bit of a Transformer vibe. With that, I'll see you guys next time for episode 6 next week. The conclusion to the human combustion mystery. Hopefully you guys enjoy my review. Like, comment, subscribe, and support if you can. Have a good day.